to Mr. Rick Crosslin.
Thank you. Thanks. Wow. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for coming. I know most of you had to, but thank you anyway. I come here today with three things I hope to do. One of them is not set off the smoke detector. To share strategies that have helped me for 47 years of teaching. Number two, to tell you something that you turn to your neighbor and nod in agreement. And number three, I hope we have some fun. That's what I hope. You know, I have known fewer greater honors than the opportunity to address this entire staff of 2,400 Wayne teachers and the entire staff. Thank you. I recall last year, what a great job Kevin Vanderbush did. Where's Kevin? Where's Kevin at? Thank you, Kevin. And I know right now he's the most relaxed guy sitting in this auditorium. But Kevin, I found out you didn't get paid. I said, Dr. Butts, I'll do this, but I need $3,000. Sorry, Kevin, but thank you, Dr. Butts. High school people, I don't know. You know, every single person sitting in this gym shares a common goal, and that's to educate and act in the best interests of our students. Every single one of you. My wife, Brenda, has been instrumental in her support and guidance and love for over 41 years of marriage. It's a little bit long, yeah. If anybody deserves a standing ovation today, it's my wife, Brenda. It's a little more than 41 years if you count the time that I first laid eyes upon her at the gym at Chapel Glen Elementary. Okay, but she had some advice. You know, I started this about a year ago. She had some advice. She says, and I always listen to her advice. Well, I try to. She said, Rick, don't tell stories about how cool you think you are. Tell stories that have value to the audience. Well, that cut 2 hours off this presentation, too. I got some stories. My first story is old as a sidewalk. You know, I ran into Cheryl Seabrook. She was this great teacher from North Wayne Elementary. And she had come out of retirement at least twice. And we were walking down the hallway, and kids always run up to me and hug me. Hey, Mr. Crosslin, you know. And I hugged them, and she goes, Rick, how come when people come up to me, they just say, oh, you're old? I said, I don't know, I try to stay young. She goes, you try to stay young? Well, that's not what Mr. Andrew Mitchell said about me. Mr. Andrew Mitchell right here, thank you. New Assistant Principal Rhodes. Mr. Andrew Mitchell said, Mr. Crosslin, he's as old as a sidewalk. Old as a sidewalk? I don't even know what that means. Like, old as a mountain, old as a sidewalk? And I got to thinking, what is old? And, you know, I'll tell you what's old. Here's what's old. Orville Reichenbacher, you know, he's old. Even Bill Nye, the science guy, he's old. And if you notice something about them, they all wear bow ties. Mr. Mitchell, how about old as a bow tie? Yeah, really. Old as a sidewalk, okay. And since I'm getting, we're talking about age, here's an aphorism. An aphorism I learned from a former student of mine, Yahya Lavabidi. Let's see, here we go. Maybe some of you relate to this. Middle age, when mortality is no longer an abstraction. Since I'm getting paid big money, Kevin, and I thought this should have class and maybe thought-provoking and some poetry and some world-renowned literary people, and I know Yahya Lavabidi. He's just turning 52. Yahya was a third-grade student of mine in Cairo American College, and he, in 1981, he always had a twinkle in his eye, a little mischievous smile. And I really hope that maybe you'll find some support in your daily life from this book, Where Ethics Fail, Meditations to Live By. These aphorisms have meaning for me, and I'll be sharing some with you later. Okay, changes. Boy, I tell you, 47 years. Now, I hope some of you relate to this, because things are a little bit different in Wayne. A lot has changed since I started student teaching in 76, maybe some of you weren't even born at Chapel Glen Elementary. I didn't think I was older. Where's Trent? Where's Trent? Trent, stand up. Third grade student of mine, right? Now, that didn't make me feel old until this morning he told me he's thinking about retiring. What the heck? I can't let a student of mine retire before me. So, if you take a look at this, we were pencil paper driven. I mean, back then a kid would come up to the sharpener and spend 15 minutes sharpening his pencil. When he was done, there was a nub. It's like, we had Zahner, Blosser, the over curve, the down curve, the under curve. My name is Rick, I write it well. If I write in cursive today at a school, they look at me like, what is that? You know what these are? For some of our new employees, these made lines on a chalkboard, and we would write on them. And kids fought over who could clean the erasers at the end of the day. Telephones were at a premium. I think we had 2 phones in the office at Chapel Glen. Back then, even the threat of a phone call would elicit better behavior. Today, everybody has a phone, including the kids. But can you get a hold of a parent? No. We sold science t-shirts one year for the state science conference because I wanted to modernize the proposal application. And so we get this fax machine. I take it back to Chapel Glen. There's a problem. I have to plug it in somewhere. There's only 2 phone lines in the office. But I knew in the elevator there was an emergency phone. So I brought the fax machine, hooked up the elevator, and I was cat's meow. This is great. One day I'm getting ready to go, and I pick up the phone. There's a voice on the end. Who is this? It was Mr. Clabber. I didn't know that was his extension from the principal's office. Oh, okay. But I'll tell you, so we moved that to the office, and within a month, all the secretaries came over, and there were fax machines at all the Wayne Township schools. It's crazy. Phones used to be wired, and now they're wireless. Televisions used to be wireless, and now they're wired. When I first arrived at Chapel Glen, we had the very first Apple IIe computer. And I was tasked with doing the first hands-on teacher workshop. Boy, I was excited. I was going to teach them floppy disk, Carolyn McCrary. I was going to teach them all these advanced things, how to do a PowerPoint presentation using the famous clip art button. Remember clip art? I'm going full speed. And finally, where's Bart? Bart's wife, Dorinda, raises her hand and asks the question that everybody wants answered. Rick, what's a cursor? I said, you know what? Just have fun pushing buttons, teachers. Send me a student tomorrow. And they did. And the next day I taught those kids, and those kids picked it up really well and went back to the room and taught everybody, including their teacher, how to use that computer. I remember taking a group of students to IUPUI in 1979. They had this computer there called Plato. and we played a game called The Dungeon that was sponsored out of the University of Southern Illinois. It was the first multiplayer game in the entire world. That was pretty cool. We didn't know what we were doing at the time, but it was the first one. This is kind of crazy. Back then, Chadwick Glen was open concept. Now, not open education, but open architectural concept. We had a room about this size with 10 blackboards and coat closets and all the third and fourth grade in one room. It was different when I was young. One day a mom came unannounced to me and she said, can we talk about my son's science work? And I said, well, your son's not in my class. And she goes, well, he sits in the back of Mr. McCurry's room. There's Mr. McCurry right there. And he's been taking your science along with him. Things were different. Sixth grade basketball completely dominated elementary schools. I mean, the gyms were standing room only. And the year-end tournament, which was held at Fulton Junior High School, was a big deal. Everybody played basketball. It was March Madness. And I played soccer. So, I came to Wayne Township with some roommates. My first roommate was Moses Ko from Hong Kong, Berhanu Amansissa from Ethiopia, Nan M. Pongpang from Thailand, and Tom Baker from Linton, Indiana. And so this led me to start the first soccer league on the West Side, and eventually the first Ben Davis Soccer Club. And I'm happy to say I was the first varsity soccer coach here at Ben Davis for a bunch of years, which is pretty cool. At one time, I probably knew every soccer player in Indianapolis, from German Park to the Carmel Cats Club. And my team, all my guys were coaches here in the community. I might be old, like Mr. Mitchell said, but there was a time, 50 years ago, when I was young. Okay, does anybody remember this? The overhead projector. It took 14 years to get from the bowling alley into our classroom. Yeah, you know, the kid that sat up front, he was always getting sprayed with oh. But I'll tell you, the most coveted job in the entire classroom, I can picture, like Ruth, right here, Ruth Italy, another student of mine, the teacher in Paris, France, Ruth Italy, very nice. They all went to Paris for this, thank you, Ruth. The most coveted job was to advance the film projector to ding, ding, ding. Everybody loved that job until finally that was replaced by a cassette. We used an overhead projector to paint murals on the wall, and we did the Pizza Hut booking program. Remember that? Pizza Hut? I hated it. 40 minutes going out what book they were. Before we had the VHS and big screen monitors, we had a film projector, 16 millimeter, that we checked out movies from the Ed Center. And it was Film Friday, and our teacher didn't care. All we knew was a big film. And for a treat, I would run backwards, right? We all ran backwards. But I'll tell you, we had the best technology. Sorry, IT guy. Sorry, Dr. Harvey. We had the best technology you could imagine. The technology we used did not have viruses, there was no login, there was no password, you didn't have to update it, and you never had code. It was the easy grader. Remember that? Well, there's been so many changes over my last 40 years, 47 years of teaching. But one thing that has not changed, if I would say anything, it's gotten better. And that is the dedication of all of you to the students of Wayne Township. That is what matters to me. So, you know this is going to work. I have 5 stories to tell. That was just the introduction. 5 stories to tell. One for every day of the week. And there's going to be music, and I've been told that you guys don't like sitting on your butts for like 2 hours, so during the music and slides, please stand up and stretch. Each song has some music and some pictures to go along with it. Let's see. Our first one, this is Monday. Teachers solve problems. Monday, excuses. The first refuge of failure. During the 80s, ESL was started in Wayne Township, English Second Language, and Chapel was being remodeled. And I looked on the plans and I saw this room way down in the corner, away from everybody. And I said, Mr. Webb, can I have that room? It had outdoor access, big spaces. It was the perfect room for a science guy, because a science guy had lots of stuff, and I needed that space. It had an extra bulletin board too. Well, I was in heaven until Miss Weedy. Where's Miss Keynote? Where's Miss Weedy at from Bridgeport? Anyway, where's she at? There she is. So she came to me and she said she wanted to use that space. I'm thinking, what? That's my space. And after a lot of internal struggle, okay, fine, I came up with a science compromise. You see, I was getting ready to start my yearly project called Sea Rock City, where I wrote off my memos and the rocks and put out on the table, had this cool bulletin board, and she wanted my bulletin board. You know, to be fair, when I first moved to Chapel Hill, there were only 2 languages spoke. IU and Purdue. That was as diverse as we were back then. But Beth, she speaks Mandarin, and her kids were pretty amazing. So I said, okay, here's what I want you to do. Go home and ask your families, how do they say the word rock in their own language and where they're from? And within a week, Beth, we had 27 different ways, different languages spoke in Chapel Hill on how to say that. So that was pretty good. You know, Chancellor students, we often ask teachers for help, and they like help, and I like to help. That's what we do. Someone asks you something, you're going to help them. This week had a kind of a habit of asking me for science help. There would be a knock at the door one day, and there was a student who said, Mr. Crosslin, Miss Reed has a science problem. I said, okay, fine, I'll do that later. A few minutes later, the kids knocked at the door. Mr. Crosslin, Miss Weedy has a science problem. She needs you. I said, okay, with this urgency in the voice, I'm going to go see what's going on. Okay, so I went in there, and that's when I met Raphael. Raphael was a second grader with limited English proficiency. And he was sitting there, usually he's a smiling kid, bright-eyed. He wasn't smiling that day. You see, she explained her science problem. Somehow, 2 of my neodymium magnets, the strongest magnets in the world, had gotten out of my classroom, and now they were stuck in Raphael's nose. Yeah, in his nose. Right there where that septum is, where there's more nerves than anywhere in your body just about. In fact, this is how we control bulls. You know, try controlling an angry 1,000-pound bull without a bull ring. And there was Raphael with these 2 in his nose. Now, I'm thinking, my scientific curiosity is now in full swing. My scientific curiosity is now in full swing. This is going to be cool. I'm going to solve this. What hypothesis up? Plan A. I took my 2 fingers. That they look I'm a bold to go where no man is gone before. I want to seek out new civilizations. And I thought, not even James T. Kirk would go down those two black holes. So I said, okay, that's how we know. I said, let me go to my room and get some material. And I came back with 2 other magnets. Because our 4th grade standard says a magnet attracts iron and other magnets. So he got these in his nose. I'm thinking, okay, please translate what I'm going to do to Raphael. I took the magnets to Raphael's guys, got a little bit bigger. And I knew I had a pull issue. I didn't want, anyway, the closer I got to his nose, the more his nose started bending up in the air. And the more he started yelling, ah! Okay, that wasn't going to work. Plan C, and this one was kind of tricky because I knew magnets attract iron. So I had 2 iron nails. Now I hid those from Raphael because, well, here's a kid that doesn't understand English. Beth, translate this, I have to be quick. So I pull out these nails, his eyes got like this, because my idea was to stick one here, and then pull the magnets out. Click with the first one, ah, with Raphael, click with the second, ah. I pulled, and they came out minus the magnets. By then, he was shouting so loud that people were looking out their classrooms. And I said to Beth, my work is done here. You know, Thomas Edison, he didn't fail 10,000 times. He just knew 9,999 things that would not work. I tried 3, they didn't work. I said, hey, take them home, send them to the emergency room. And Beth, I want my magnets back. And I turned back to my classroom to talk to Juan, Raphael's brother, who I had some idea how the magnets got out of my classroom. Well, the next day, there was a knock on my door, and it was Beth. And she had Raphael with her, standing behind him, and she goes, Mr. Crosslin, Raphael has something for you. I said, yeah? And it was this book, Fun with Magnets. Yeah. Beth, I hope you're solving your own science problems these days. Thank you, Beth. Thank you. And this is where I asked my dear friend, Dr. Harrelson, what's the next slide? That's fine. Tuesday, we're almost there. Tuesday. What makes a good teacher? Check it out.
When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, stand by me. I don't know if you say what to do. I'm not saying that. Now from now, this is since my daughter is pregnant with her grandson, my first grandson, within a month, maybe today, we hope not today. Every newborn is another opportunity to rewrite history. That's true. So, I'd like to introduce my science team today. Come on up here. We're going to do some fun up here. Mary Mason. There's no simple rule. You can be patient, build relationships, care for the well-being of others, and trust in your colleagues. Be enthusiastic, be passionate about your interests and sharing with your students. And I say go with your strengths. Say go with your strengths. Go with your strengths. I go with science. So, and I hope you trust us. I need a volunteer. Thank you for volunteering, Dr. Butts. It takes courage to volunteer.
Come on up. Come on up. So, I like to, if you know anything about me, I like to do a science experiment and then I like to make it bigger. Born pathogens. Okay, so there's a lot you can do with a pendulum or a bowling ball. And for example, I didn't know this till Galileo explained it. It has to do with the length of the pendulum that sets the period of the revolution. In fact, that's how clocks and things work, which is pretty cool, except for we're going to try something a little different. You can also use a bowling ball for kinetic and potential energy. I hate this part. Okay. So, thanks to our people at operations, let's see. You stand here like this, and if the science is right, let's just find out for a second. Let's try this, see if there's any energy in this thing right here. Okay. Okay, are you ready? Let's see. I don't know if this will work, let's find out. And it goes, and let's see. Yeah, it works. How you feel about that? He doesn't have a microphone for a reason. So why don't you come over here for a second? If you hold that, and usually what I do is I hold the person's head here like this. That's not fair, right? So let's try it. First time ever, the dual swinging bowling balls of death. Okay? You try that one. I really don't know about this. My wife said we should have practiced this. Okay, so, yikes. I'm not going to push you, are you? You guys give us a 1, 2, 3. Watch his face. Give us a 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Whoa. Are we good? There's one thing I learned about demos. If they work once, don't do it again. Thank you so much. There's a couple of the operation guys that are really worried. You got heard about that. Because I definitely went in. Okay. Now, taking risks is kind of fun, and I want to share with you. Having interesting activities, interesting students makes us better teachers. And I have 2 students that I'd like to share with you as their stories that happened to me would help me become a better teacher. I had one in my class. This first story is called Nodding David. I had one in my class. He was well-behaved, he dressed conservatively, and he was kind of a large kid for his age. And in my mind, I had nicknamed him Nodding David. Every time I spoke to him, he would nod. Anytime I asked him to do anything, he would nod. I mean, he would nod all the time. He nodded so much that I couldn't help but noticing permanent creases in his neck from all the nodding. I thought, that's okay. Well, as the year passed, his homework grade started to go down a little bit. And it wasn't too long till I got a call from Mr. Clapwell to come to the office. Now, Mr. Clapwell, he was an awesome administrator. He shielded all his teachers from any trivial issues. So when you got called to the office, you knew it wasn't trivial. So I will say that Mr. Clapwell was, when I first got hired for him, he said, you have to wear a tie. I said, you have to teach me how to tie one. And so he was a great guy. He calls me in the office. I walk in the office, and there sits David and David's mother. Now, David's mother was a formidable person, over 6 foot tall, and she commanded the room. And she, in fact, nobody was going to change her mind. But I was young and stupid. And I thought, what do you mean he's not doing my homework? And she started talking. And when she talked, I noticed David was doing this. I looked over, Mr. Clapper was doing this. Oh, listen, I'm not going to nod. And she said to me, and I quote, she said, you have David all day long to teach him. When he gets home, he belongs to me and the Lord. And I thought about that. And it stopped me in my tracks because that's true. We coach kids all day long. And if I can't get the job done during the day, then maybe I'm doing something wrong. And I reluctantly said, without nodding, I agree. Now, his homework did improve that year. And I will tell you, we don't know the stories of our students, how their home is, their journeys, but we have them during the day. The next day, she sent me in an apple pie. That was pretty. Now, the next story is about Ronald. I remember the year I had Ronald in my class. Now, Ronald's reputation preceded him by years. His exploits were legendary in kindergarten through third grade. Now it was my time to have Ronald. But I was young. I was up for the challenge. You know, I never have shielded away from difficult kids. Some might say I was a difficult kid. So I kind of relate to them. But, you know, I might be selfish, but I would go to the office at the beginning of the year and say, hey, to the secretaries, send me 4 students extra at the beginning of the year. I want 32, 33. Sorry, Carolyn, you didn't know about this. Because I hated having kids move in the middle of the year. I would rather have a full class. I wanted the whole year with my kids. So there's Ronald sitting there. And I walked up to him and I said, Ronald, this will be your best year ever. If you just listen to me, it'll be a lot easier. He just sat there, didn't say anything. I said, look, I want to put you in charge of Hershey. Now, Hershey was my corn snake. Hershey was legendary. Kids in all the grades knew about Hershey. I said, there's 2 rules. Number 1, don't hurt Hershey. And number 2, don't scare anybody with the snake. Ronald just looked up at me. I said, if you can do that for 4 weeks, I'm going to buy you a pizza. Well, the 4 weeks went by, and Ronald did what he said he would do. And now it was time for me to make good on my bribe. And so we went to the office to pick up the pizza from the delivery man. And I told Ronald, take it back to the classroom. I'm going to do some things. I'll meet you there while the kids are at lunch. But Ronald had another plan that I didn't know about. Ronald marched down to the preschool teacher's workroom in the K through 3, opened the door, and showed him the pizza that Mr. Crosslin had bought him. I could hardly get back to my room before there was a posse of primary teachers marching down to tell me what they thought about my bribe and how I was doing Ronald. Well, I tell you, that year went pretty good, better than I thought. I know those teachers had a good point because Ronald had made their teaching miserable. But the point of this story is we see kids differently. And I know that my pizza probably didn't do as much as that responsibility I gave him to take care of that snake that year. And it wasn't perfect, but all of us see kids differently. Sometimes I'll see a student that didn't really get along well with me, but in another grade level, they're excelling with that teacher. And when that happens, I rejoice knowing that someone had a different perspective, a different way, or a different attitude with the teacher. You know, we are all as different as our students. And that's my story of Ronald. If we ask favors, We must be prepared to return them. So, I call this day the tip of the spear. The tip of the spear. In 1972, I graduated from Lakenheath American High School in Suffolk, England. I was an Air Force brat. I grew up in 28 different cities and countries around the world, and I was determined to attend college. My parents didn't think that was such a great idea, so it sounds kind of weird now, I forged my dad's signature on the application in a financial way, and with 50 bucks in my pocket, I hitchhiked from Ramstein, Germany to Terre Haute, Indiana. I had no idea. This is crazy. I know I'm going off script, but this is crazy. But when I was over in Germany, I got this letter from Indiana State, so I filled it out, and I got the same letter from Indiana University. I thought, why did they send me the same letter? So I flew to Indiana University, went right to Indiana State. So I didn't know this. Unknowingly at the time, I was so connected to Wayne Township. And I'll tell you why. My grandparents, Daisy and Earl Crosslin, lived at 1730 South High School Road. Just over the railroad tracks was their house. In the summer, I worked at what's now Yellow Freight. It used to be Yates Pay Lake, and it used to be airport parking, and that's where I worked. So every summer I moved, we would come back to Indianapolis on the west side. And I would walk to Teeter's, the drugstore at Washington and Drugstore Road. And I would buy pixie sticks and wax lips and little straws and things, and eat White Castles. This is like a big deal. And go to Melody Skateland. And one time I even went to a dance at Westlake Pavilion. So the west side, I had no idea about the Wayne Township, but it was my home. So, graduating from college was my biggest personal accomplishment as a first-year family graduate. I'd like to tell you now, my wife and I both have advanced degrees, and all three of my kids, one recently, has graduated from Purdue University. I'd like to introduce my family. This has been the hardest part of my whole speech. First, Wendy Chancellor, would you stand up? My bright and accomplished first child. Having Whitney made me a better teacher because I knew how precious all children are. Her husband, United States Air Force Lieutenant Colonel John Jansen, our American hero, father and husband. And next, my son, my only son, William Crosslin, my boy, my independent-minded boy who is our newest Purdue grad, and I am one proud dad. And now the baby, my smart and compassionate Caroline Redline. Neil Diamond wrote that song, Sweet Caroline, if she is Sweet Caroline, if you ever get to know her. That was written for her. And her husband, no, I did it wrong. That's the other thing. This is no one Caroline, her husband. One of my hardworking sons from the family. Okay. And of course, Brenda. You know, from the day I met her, she has made my life so much better. You know, she always does the right thing, says the right thing. Can you imagine what I would have been like unchecked? But I love you forever. Only two more questions. Great. So, I have no idea that I've been in Wayne Township, my professional home, for 40 years. You know, I started teaching in Chapel Way, student teaching, but I needed money. So I got a job as a night custodian at all the schools. I would go from school to school. I had to learn how the schools really work. Now, my favorite school was Sanders. And I'll tell you what, Sanders was my favorite. The cooks saved lunches for me after dinner. That was one meal. And that was going really good until my supervisor from Indiana State showed up and said, well, Rick, you can't work. It's against ISU rules. And I said, well, who's going to pay for my food? No, ISU. And so she said to me, she said, well, you better do a good job. Well, it worked out that I was eventually hired as a teacher in Wayne Township. And I'm happy to say, everybody, my first paycheck, $8,200. That's a lot of money back then. $8,200. We lost our ideas. Today, my supervisor expects the same thing, that I do a good job. Dr. Ann Olson in the back right there, and Allie Penninger, where's Allie Penninger? They're some of the best people you could ever hope to work for. And I know when I mentioned Dr. Olson's name, you guys are turning and nodding to each other in agreement. And what a great person she is to work for. You know, she's very supportive. And I learned one thing over the years with the supervisor, and this is some information you might want to know. Keep your supervisor in the loop of your projects. They don't like surprises. Right? People, I will tell you, people with skills to clean, to cook, to fix, to manufacture, to maintain things are so impressive to me. Teachers may be the tip of the spear, but the rest of our staff, and I mean the bus mechanics, the maintenance workers, the electricians, the plumbers, the heat and cool specialists, the locksmiths, the administrative staff, the warehouse workers, the money guards, safety officers, crew masters, nurses, cooks, officers, paramedics, counselors, bus drivers, and custodians. Because, you know, there's a rumor that, you know, you've seen these signs that companies have 14 days without accident. I'm pretty sure there's a sign over at IT that says 14 days without a Crosslin issue. It's probably only 6 days because I get people to call it. Hey, keep calling up. I don't know what's in. I tell you, do you know that it's rumored that there's a work form you can fill out for IT? Who knew? I'm kidding. This is not kidding. But I'm telling you, this staff is the best job ever find. And where's Todd Hendricks? There's Todd right behind me. Where's Todd? He's probably Todd Hendricks, the director of facilities, and his team have never said no to me. I bring their projects, you know what they say? Well, it's for the kids, let's do it. And we do it. Those guys have done things like, I had a 600,000 frame donated stock field, they built the frame. I needed a scissor drop for Galileo's cannonball drop, they sent over. I needed a scissor drop for the pumpkin drop, they sent over. I built bridges and outboard, real bridges and elementary schools. They drilled the holes. They built me a solar panel. They even reluctantly were in one of my YouTube videos once. They, in fact, all these PVC pipes that we're using here in a minute, they cut, polished, and put the labels in, and put the labels on. Those guys are amazing. Really amazing. Thank you. And since you didn't get hurt, Dr. Buzz, I can say they built this too. And then there's Katrina McKinney, who runs the operations. You know, I love her. I'm limited to one favor a week with her. And like all these photos you see, Marcia Davison has spent her lunch for the last 6 months going to the archives to put those together for us. That's pretty amazing. And there's not been one community science show where I didn't have Larry Couch and D.A. Harvey come help me solve some tech problem. And I've had a lot of tech problems on that. Those guys have allowed me and the rest of us to have excellence. And I really appreciate that. You know, Larry always says, well, Mr. Crosslin, let's see what we can do. You know, Larry, that's the best of that. So, Larry and you know, Mark Moody, Brad Purdue, James Fraser, Kim Stone, Cindy Smith, Madeline McIntosh, Karen Owen, Josh Adler, Danny Quebec, Daniel Jackie, and Dr. Anthony Hardy. So many more have helped me bring science to kids. And the lecture name on IT, Larry gave me the list. So, okay. So, Where's Tasha Ware? She's not here. Where's Tasha? Tasha, stand up. Tasha's my friend. She helps me with science projects, and she's the custodian operations and the bus, and she kept me sane during COVID. And you know Marcus Banks. Where's Marcus Banks? There's Marcus Banks back there. If you know Marcus Banks, you're business something right. And I go to Marcus Banks and say, hey, there's a project. He goes, oh, you know, you have to do both things up in the same man. And I said, Marcus, he goes, I got you, Rick. Well, you know, I found out what that means. When he says, I got you, Rick, he's going to go tell Bishop Roger and the mechanics to go do it. That's what that means. And make no mistake. There's a picture of him with Jack Pepperson, our director of transportation, who's responsible every day, her staff, for bringing a precious cargo to school and back every day. I said this once, if you go over there and listen on the radio in the morning, there are going to be a sitcom written about that. The radio, I mean, there are kids in the streets, there's moms and dads and bus drivers, and all, and you would not believe it would make a great show. I'll start with you. So, the last person I want to acknowledge, and he's probably gone right now, where's Tawana? Tawana Anderson. He's hiding. There's Tawana. Where's Tawana? Now, Tawana and his team of incredible tours, he's one of our ground supervisors, and you have no idea how his work improves your daily life. This man can fix anything. I saw him teaching someone how to use backup. I said, Tawana, well, where did you go to get certified and learn how to do the backup and teach you? And he said, oh, right now, that's the 15-minute program. 15-minute program. Because yeah, when I first started here during my lunch, during 15 minutes, I taught myself how to work that backup. Now that is a self-motivated, lifelong learner and a model for all of us. Go on, stand up. They do their job so we can do our job. And I really am blessed to be working here. So, it's time for us to show my appreciation for all this hardworking staff by making some messes and blowing things up. This might be a little tricky here. So, my staff ready? Are we ready? Keith, you ready? I got these balloons here. I told Dr. West I'll do this for the money and I can blow some things up. So here we go. Here's the first one, Keith. And this one, oh, this is where you might cover your ears. I'm not sure. Here we go. All right, you do it. I'm not doing it. Here we go. Everybody ready? Get yours ready. Here you go. Dude, you had one job. Anticlimactic. You guys ready? Go, go. Who's next? Anyone? It doesn't matter. We got some helpers here. I'm glad you have your safety goggles on. So oh, that's not much. That's not much. What kind of gas do we have? Anybody know what kind of gas is? Dr. Butts. Anybody besides Dr. Butts? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, come on. Can you tell us what kind of...
It's helium, Rick.
It's helium. Helium is a cool gas. It's used in the space age. Now this next one, this one's going to be a little bit louder. This is the original gas. This one's a really bad idea for the Hindenburg. That's on the right, on the right. On the right, here we go. Hindenburg. Whoa. Here we go. Preschoolers, come on. Oh, wait a minute, sorry, not a preschooler anymore. Here we go. Well, thank you. Now, we saved the best for last. I do suggest, that was hydrogen, a really bad idea for the Hindenburg. Really bad idea. Hydrogen, though, is the most abundant gas in the universe. Our sun is made out of it. You add a little oxygen to hydrogen and you get something entirely different. We should cover our ear. One more. Cover your ears. One more. There's extra matches. There you go. Just use your hand. Here we go. Very good. Next slide. Here we go. Thursday, strive to fulfill your dreams. Another application from Yana. The limits of your vision determines the limit of your world. I hope you guys all have a project in mind that you'd like to do. I truly believe this is one of my truths. I truly believe this is one of my truths, is that we can learn from everyone. This truth is fundamental to how I teach. If you see a teacher doing something good, I say, do I do that? And if I see a teacher doing something that gives me pause, I say, do I do that? You know, I've rarely come up with an original teaching idea. What I have done is taken someone else's idea and made it work for me. And I think that that's that we can seek out and listen and be open to others. And I mean veteran teachers or beginning teachers, excellent teachers or teachers that struggle. We can learn from everyone. Also, I think you should ask your administrators uncomfortable and hard to answer questions. I know I've been doing that my entire career. Just ask Dr. Olson. And you know, some have appreciated this aspect of the Rick Crosslin experience and some have not. But that's okay, because anytime you try something new, you're going to make mistakes. I know, I've made a lot of them. But making mistakes is part of science and engineering. We make mistakes, we learn from them. Learning from your mistakes is a trait of a good teacher. We will make mistakes. I'll never forget, and I hope someday someone says this to you. I never will forget the day that Dr. Edward Bose, former superintendent, pulled me aside after I had a problem with a project that I had created, and he said to me, I would rather have a Rick Crosslin that I have to say no to sometimes than a group of teachers that are not innovative. And I hope you are innovative, and I hope you do things that you want in your heart. And so I've got a little bit of advice. I'm trying to limit this, but these are the things that have worked for me over the years. And I've had a lot of projects. Number one, do your homework ahead of time. If you're going to do a project about something, know about it. Number two, does your project match the strategic goals? Next, what are the pros and cons of your project? Next, involve your colleagues. Don't be a lone wolf. Have a solid, well thought out plan and practice it before you present it. Anticipate questions and answers. And here's the thing that people hate. If you don't know the answer, just say so, I don't know, and go find out. And finally, only do what you can propose. Don't reach for the moon if you're not ready to go there. And be ready to compromise, but this one's important to me. When it's time to compromise, only give up what you can't live without. And finally, do what you say. Don't go back and ask for more time or money. Do what you say. And I have literally had over hundreds of thousands of dollars of the grants and proposal using this project. And now for another aphorism from Yahya. We cannot know ourselves without knowing the natural world. And so I'd like to share my project with you, Science Summer Safari, my all-time favorite project. Students have been accompanying me on outdoor adventures, creek walks, caving, fossil collecting for over 40 years. Now this project started with an idea to take kids on buses around Indiana. So I went to Dr. Bose at the time and I said I needed a bus. He said yes to the bus. Harold Graham, the assistant superintendent, said, well, Rick, how much money do you need for materials? And I thought, well, $75. He reached in his wallet and pulled out and gave me a $100 bill. And that was the start of Summer Science Safari. You know, and since then, we've had over 8,000 Wayne Township students participate. And our magic school, science school bus has traveled over 100,000 miles. That's 4 times around the circumference of the earth on a school bus. That's pretty cool. It's been funded by Wayne Township, and where's Lisa? Lisa Bay is the Education Foundation who writes the grants, modest student fees, donations, and we even added a week about 10 years ago for teachers and their families and staff to join us. I've got so many great memories of summer camp, Summer Safari. One of them, one time we were on a creek walk in Morgan Road. All my kids were looking for crawdads, and we noticed a group of Amish kids were coming out, doing the same thing, looking for crawdads. And both groups kind of stopped and looked at each other. And there was a splash and went back to catching crawdads, and the 2 groups were separated. This kid comes up to me and says, hey, Mr. Crosslin, are those pilgrims? Yeah. You don't know when you get these great cultural exchanges in your own backyard. Believe it or not, I've been to Morgan Road over 200 times. And last summer, I almost stepped on this beautiful 6-foot timber rattlesnake right after I got the bus. There's been some exciting times. And this lady, like Gary Alexander, you know, I've been this here, this here. Great bus driver and camp counselor. And my whole team, we have Mary Mason, Caleb, Allison, and Justin Wagner. Justin was in my camp when he was like 9 years old when he had his Boys and Girls Club camp. So all these people have made this camp such a wonderful place. In fact, but I want to tell you, I have someone in the audience today. She came today. June Borg, would you please stand up? Retired teacher June Borg from California. The OG of Summer Park. She was with me when we used to, for who knows what, camp out with the kids on Thursday nights. We would take them all week, Thursday night we'd go somewhere, put their kids together and camp out. I'll tell you, my favorite story, I can tell you a story about the time that we were at the Jasper Pulaski State Park, mosquito-infested Michigan City prison inmate night. I can tell you about Spring Mill State Park, which we now call the night of the tornadoes. But I'm going to tell you about a story, my favorite story with this Bronx teacher, happened at Turkey Run. It has a lot to do with raccoons. We spent the day collecting fossils. And that evening, we hiked across Sugar Creek to watch the sunset, and we saw many raccoons heading towards our campground. We got back, had hot dogs for dinner, our night activities, and sent the kids to bed. About an hour into the night, June came to my tent and said, Rick, there's raccoons around the kids' tents. I said, yeah, okay, it's raccoons. They're fine, go back to sleep. 10 minutes later, she came and says, Rick, there's raccoons at their tents. I said, don't worry about it, they're raccoons. What a city girl, yeah, raccoons. The third time she said, Rick, there are raccoons in the kids' tents. Okay, fine. So I get up and I go to the first tent and I go, June, look, flaps closed, you're wrong. She said, no, come around back. Those raccoons had tore a hole through the tent and were pulling the kids' backpacks out. Now, I told those kids, I don't know why kids don't listen, I told those kids, no food or fossils in the tent. And there they were, the raccoons. So I chased off the raccoons, and I shined my light, and the raccoons were just sitting there. Raccoons are nocturnal, who knew? So I only had one thing to throw at them, the kids' fossils. So I started throwing fossils. I thought, these kids are going to wake up and they're going to have no fossils left. We have to have a better plan. So, the only thing I could do, I went over and I stoked up the campfire. And then June and I proceeded to go to every tent and pull out every backpack and take it to the campfire and open it up and burn the food and the candy in there. While we were doing that, those raccoons must have thought we were crazy. They were literally on the other side of the campfire going, dude. They couldn't believe it. And during the entire time, not one kid woke up. They were exhausted. You know, I'll tell you, here's a picture. Here's a picture of one of those campers. That's Mason English, the big guy, the old guy, the 50-year-old guy, and his son, Jason, who went with me on camp this summer, and his dad many years ago. So in some part, it's an honor that they still entrust their children to me. And by the way, that whole summer, June called me Raccoon Rick. We're going to do something fun now. I've always wanted to try to have a world record. We're going to go for a world record. We have these crazy palm bikes right here, and my team's coming up to help me. So, we're going to try to get Guinness to help us with this. We can beat the world record, except Guinness wanted $7,000. So you have a palm pipe. Everybody have a palm pipe, right? Here's how these work. And I've been doing a lot of talking, so I'll probably teach you this without talking. You have to pay attention. Thanks for volunteering, Dr. Butts. Stand up and give us a rhyme. One. Two times. Good warm-up. Now we're going to attempt something never attempted before by me or anybody else. This is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. You have a label. Green, let's hear green, green. Green, green. Yellow, yellow. Orange, orange. What's next? Yellow. Purple, purple. Blue, blue. Red, red. Green. All right, let's try it. What's wrong? What's wrong? That's not me. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. You guys lead us. Are you ready? Should I say the words? I don't do music. I do science. Okay, here we go. Ready? green, green, yellow, yellow, orange, orange, yellow. They did it! We had no idea. That's pretty cool. Take those back to school. Maybe you can do My Body Flies Over the Ocean or whatever that is. Friday, finally Friday. Teach with enthusiasm.
I stay out too late. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say. That's what people say. I go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay. At least that's what people say. That's what people say. But I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be alright. 'Cause the player's gonna play, 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 play. And my haters gonna hate, 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 baby. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake. Shake it off, shake it off.
Thank you. Okay. Teach with enthusiasm. You know, my wife once told me that if I have the same passion for Indiana history as I do for science, then I would dress up as George Rogers Clark. I corrected her politely and said, no, I had my students dress up as George Rogers Clark, and we would parade through the cafeterias dragging beetle pelts with us. When you teach with enthusiasm, your enthusiasm is contagious. It triggers enthusiasm in others, but you must give your students something to be enthusiastic about. A few years back, I was unloading cases of Diet Coke and regular Coke. Since there was 24 of them, I felt a difference. The regular Coke was much heavier than the Diet Coke. I got to thinking. I took 2 cans, I looked at them, both the same size, same shape. For you math people out there, congruency. They both had 355 milliliters. I looked on the back. Regular Coke has 39 grams of sugar. Diet Coke, 0 sugar, aspartame. I dropped the regular Coke in water, boom, 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 it sank. I dropped the Diet Coke in water, it floated. My students and I thought that was pretty cool. We should investigate this bigger. If it's science, it should work here, there, it should work everywhere. It should work in a bigger container. And so I went to Lyndhurst swimming pool and I taped 9 cases of Diet Coke on me. If you do this, you should stand close to the edge of the pool because 9 cases of Coke, you can't really move. And just before I thought, is this gonna work? So on the next slide, this is what happened. 3, 2, 1. Wow. Wow. I should show you the blooper rule where I ran out of tape and this part had floaties and this one didn't. And I was so I floated. It was risky. Take risks. Don't be afraid to fail. You'll learn so much more. And I strive for enthusiastic engagement. And I'm convinced that enthusiasm is the key to successful teaching. Enthusiasm is personal. Everybody's enthusiasm looks different, but you'll know it when you see it. So, I have one more story of Summer Safari to tell you. My favorite. The brachiopod. You see, we make weekly trips to an Ordovician age fossil site to collect fossils. And when we first started going to the dig site, I would prepare the students. I would tell them about all these great fossils we're going to find. Plesiopods, brachiopods, horned corals, and trilobites. Oh, The elusive trilobite, this creature that crawled on the ocean floor. Trilobites, my favorite fossil. I love trilobites. And once we got to the road cut, you know, the kids were searching for fossils, and they'd run up to me and go, "Is this a trilobite?" "Nope, that's a horned coral." Next kid would run up, "Is that a trilobite?" "Nope, that's a plesiopod." "Is this a trilobite?" "Nope, sorry, bryozoan." Pretty soon, kids weren't coming up to me to show me their treasures. Pretty soon, they weren't finding trilobites. The bus ride home, not a lot of enthusiasm. And I thought about that trip and what had gone wrong. The kids were great. The fossils were great. It must have been me and how I had inadvertently set them up to fail. I thought about that. Next week's trip, I came up with a different plan. On the way to the site, I told the kids about the fossils we're going to find. Oh yeah, we're going to find trilobites, we're going to find horned corals, we're going to find bryozoan. But wait till you find a brachiopod. The brachiopod, a bivalve, 4 times older than a dinosaur. Brachiopod ponderosi, the coolest fossil in the world. You're going to find a brachiopod. Well, we got to the site, and within minutes of searching, kids were racing to me to show me their brachiopods. They had buckets filled with brachiopods, and that bus ride home was a lot different. Now, I got a secret to tell you. When you go to an Ordovician age fossil site, 95% of everything you see is a brachiopod. And I had flipped that enthusiasm, so we were all fossil paleontologists that day. So, show your students. Lead with enthusiasm. You know, you and your students will have great fun and you'll learn more. Teach with enthusiasm and you will change the world. I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes. These 47 years of teaching in Wayne Township have gone just like that because I love what I'm doing. And please read along with me, because this quote is for everyone in this auditorium. If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep the streets like Michelangelo painted, or Handel and Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep the streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, "Here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well." Be the Wayne staff that does your job well. Thank you. And now for the finale. Lights, please. These are some pictures you might enjoy. I know I do. Here we go.
The end is near, and so I face
A little bit of a dud. The whoosh bottle.
the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear.
Here we go.
I'll state
Go ahead, Mary.
my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life
You gotta,
that's
you
full.
swirl it one time. There you go.
I traveled each and every highway and more, much
Last
more
one.
than this. I did it my way.
Okay, lights on, please. Here we go. Genie in a bottle.
I've had a few.
You guys can do it at the same time. Here we go. This is our genie in the bottle. Lights on, please.
I did what I had to do and saw it through
Here we go.
without
Ready?
exemption.
Okay.
I planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway. Much
Got the
more
cannon?
than this, I did it my way.
Hold that one. You want to do this one?
There were times
Thanks. Yeah, good.
I
Thanks.
did it.
Thanks. Couple more pictures. Thank you. We're done.
Nice round of applause for Rick Crosslin.